Yo, what is up? So, Jean Silva has called out Bryce Mitchell. Even though Bryce Mitchell currently has a very interesting grappling match against, I think, an Israeli opponent. So, he's going to have to back up the controversial statement. And you know what? I don't agree with the statement that was made. I've already talked about my opinions on when Bryce went public with what he did and caused this whole media scrum, right? Controversy does sell in this platform, whether we like it or not. But you know, it's like the whole Jackson thing that followed was just the whole thing was a clown show where everyone was, it was crazy, And honestly, I am not expecting people to just drop that. I'm not expecting them to not have crazy taste in their mouth after that whole storm of media and the backlash, right? But now I think Bryce, though, whether, let's put all politics aside, he does need to get back into the ring and start fighting. Get back into the cage, start fighting, the cage. And his last fight against Kron Gracie, it was good. He almost got caught in an armbar in the second round, but he's not necessarily really tested to see if he's back in the big show yet, And I think Jean Silva is going to definitely be that fighter who is on a tear, who is looking for a new opponent. And honestly, I feel like Jean Silva is going to win. I think, honestly, Jean Silva is going to destroy Bryce Mitchell just from a strictly fighter standpoint. I don't even want to, get the politics involved in it or the conspiracy theories or anything, right? Because that's the thing, though, is like when you mention Bryce, now controversy is going to follow up. And I guess that's just the character I guess he's built for himself. So I'm talking about him just as a fighter overall. But his skill set against has not been properly seasoned or tested over the past, and I might be proven wrong. Maybe he might upset Jean Silva, but the Emmett knockout showed the weakness in his striking, and then obviously he comes back against Kron Gracie, where Kron was setting him up for a win by pulling guard in MMA, and he still almost got caught in an armbar in the second round by Kron Gracie. To me, it just kind of seemed like, all right, we see where this is all going. We see where all this is happening. It's just from his skill set, his striking hasn't shown leaps and bounds. If he tries to take Jean down, I feel like Jean's going to stuff those takedowns. It's just the way he's kind of developed as a fighter. And you know what? It's like I get that a lot of people in the UFC sphere and the MMA sphere love to talk about politics, especially conservative politics, and I'm just, speaking from the heart right now because I do have to address a lot of these things now that I bring up Bryce. I can't just dance around it because then I feel like I'm, avoiding uncomfortable positions. But, the thing is, from my point of view, I got into the UFC because I was driven away by politics on one side in other sports, right? And now that I came into the UFC, I just saw strictly sport, entertainment. I grew a passion for jiu-jitsu. I grew a passion for the science of boxing and everything like that. I even signed up for classes myself to train a little bit. It got me in really good shape. The sport was a haven for me to just silence all the political talk and move forward and make myself a better version of myself. However, now I have seen that other people have gotten into it where they said we wanted to get away from politics. When they go to the UFC, they're saying, no, we want to be with politics that we agree with. And, the UFC is very well immersed in the conservative, sphere, And I'm not saying, and here's the thing, like your traditional run-of-the-mill, conservative, right? I got no beef with any of you guys or anything like that, but the whole thing, as I'm saying, is it's just when I say I wanted to look at this as a whole fight channel, right? And not this, conspiracy stuff that's been going on. I try to keep that completely separate from my content. I just want to focus on MMA journalism. And when I focus on this as an MMA breakdown, I could tell you this, whether you love or hate Bryce Mitchell, because Bryce was one of my favorite fighters. Still, in a sense, I appreciate what he has done with his farming and everything like that. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater when he makes a controversial statement that you're not necessarily on board with, I think the flat earth stuff was entertaining. But when you get into that dark history period, that's, of course, you're going to see some backlash over that, But from a fighter's perspective, in breaking his skill set down, he has some serious work to do if he's going to fight John Silva. That's just the way it is. And he's got a grappling match to go against now, against an opponent who's from Israel, who is really going to want to answer a lot of the stuff that he has said. So he has quite likely painted himself into a crazy corner, and he's going to have to paint himself out of it. And I think the best way he does it, focus on this grappling match. And, if he wins, find a way to squash the beef, And then if you go against John Silva, you got to work on your striking, dude. Otherwise, John Silva is going to make you a meme, okay? And, man, it's like I don't like to see Bryce continuously getting flatlined. I don't want to see him become one of those dudes, But at the same time, John Silva is such a beast in the realm of MMA who doesn't pull guard, stays standing, knocks people out, just overall craziness in the octagon. That is going to be a heck of a redemption story that Bryce is going to have to overcome. And I think, honestly, I don't want to count him out completely, but until I see him drop all the politics, drop all the controversy, and just focus on a fighting career right now, just for his own good going against John Silva, I think that John Silva is actually going to destroy Bryce. But that's just all my opinion. I know no matter where you go on the political spectrum or the sports spectrum, different opinions are scary, But that's like the thing. I'm just exhausted with the whole thing, So, but from a fighter's perspective, I do have to go with John Silva. And this was always, I'm going to be honest, these videos where the controversy, they get a little hard to make because you understand what a minefield you are stepping on when it comes to people blowing up and everything like that and all that stuff. So it's just kind of crazy, It's like whenever I turn the camera on and want to let it rip, I always have to mix in the part that I try to get away from with the parts that I'm trying to talk about, and it becomes such a mixed blender. But yeah, no. John Silva is probably going to be he's definitely going to be my heavy favorite going into that matchup. But I did have a lot to get off my mind in that video, but I'm just glad I got that out of the way. I'll see you guys on the next one. Next episode, we're just going to be specifically talking about the fights. Peace out.